Got a replay from the dim-witted one versus Nameless Order. Not casting any more playoffs games. No more. Back to dumb bull malarkey. Anyway, this game struck my interest just because the Empire build was a little different. Flagellant and Greatsword frontline versus Slaanesh was interesting. One handgunner, and then 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun, 2 Demigryph Knights with halberds, and then Elspeth von Draken on her dragon as a caster. So it's a lot of interesting stuff with the Empire build, and I did pre-check that they don't just get blown out instantly. So it'll be a close game no matter what. But yeah, no healing for Demigryph Knights is really odd. And then also Elspeth without like war wagons or engineers to improve her sniping is also a little odd. So it's like you have some character snipe, some anti-large armor piercing dueling. So it was just interesting. Thought I'd check it out. She only brought Fate of Buna for a spell. Then she has her self heal / mini spirit leech, a couple of uses of that, and then her sniping dragon breath attack. On the other side for Slaanesh, we have Seekers and Fiends, 3 Chaos Furies as well, a lot of vanguarded troops. Azazel up front with Acquiescence and Pavane, and then a front line of Devoted Marauders and 1 Slongor and more Fiends. Pretty simplistic build there from Slaanesh. Cheap, chipper to the point. Demigryph Knights get immediately assaulted as I forgot to turn down my actual computer volume, so you might have heard 2 sounds there, but we'll be back to just normal now. Demigryph Knights getting absolutely swarmed by Slaanesh. Knights of the Blazing Sun do come to the rescue, but a little too late as the Demigryph Knights, as you can see, have taken just like critical damage. They're not coming back from that one. Another seems to share their fate. Furies were taken out by Elspeth and the Knights of the Blazing Sun, but the Fiends and Seekers find their way onto the Demigryph Knights, and sure, they've been nerfed, yada yada, etc., but still, Seekers do go burr when they run into enemy heavy cavalry. Demigryph Knights are holding after the initial swarm happened. They've run out of models to really take damage, so you can see now there's just so little surface area for the Slaanesh units to get in there that now the Demigryph Knights are actually starting to hold. So a little bit of an overcommitment from the Slaanesh forces. Too many units all trying to surround one of the Empire did lead to some inefficient blobbing, and Elspeth dives in to just punish that. Demonic Instability takes out both those Seeker units and the Furies, so pretty big loss for Slaanesh on that flank. Other flank, more mixed results. Seeker's already gone, and the Fiends are now getting comboed by the Empire Heavy Cav, but the Empire Heavy Cav has taken a lot of damage. So it's not all free. It's not all about who comes out on the other side still technically alive. It's also like, all right, but how much HP do you have left to help out, and what else is going on the map? The Empire front line holding, mixed pattern, but holding. We've lost some great swords, but the Tattered Souls, Flagellants, and some Spearmen are still doing okay. Bounce power does slightly favor Slaanesh, as Slaanesh does get a rampage out onto the Demigryph Knights, but there's no follow-up on that. It was just for the damage, right? But there was no, like, Seekers or Furies or anybody running forward to hit the Demigryph Knights that were now rampaging as they run into the Devoted Marauders. Nice breath attack from the Amethyst Dragon down the side of the Fiends. I think those are the last Fiends on the map as they're currently tearing apart Knights of the Blazing Sun, but Elspeth is just going to land her big dragon body on top of those Fiends and start taking them out. Also trying to bolster her Knights' courage for a little bit longer, and it does seem to be working quite well. I think my biggest criticism of the Slaanesh play so far is that overblobbing, but like also Azazel has just kind of felt... Azazel has been kind of AFK. Less than 200 value on him. He kind of needs to be following Elspeth around harassing her, because even though she's on a dragon, she is a pitifully bad duelist. She's currently getting hit with Acquiescence, but still her melee stats are nothing to be proud of for how expensive she is, so Azazel kind of needed to be harassing her this whole time, because his final mobility piece, the Fiends, are taken out. Azazel, you can see even in this brief duel, he's taken out like a third of her HP, so I would have liked to see this a little bit earlier as another Pavane of Slaanesh goes down to Knights of the Blazing Sun, just trying to rampage them into Azazel and the Devoted Marauders, stop them from being able to cycle charge, but they unfortunately terror out away from him, so the rampage doesn't apply, because the rampage doesn't work if you are not heroic enough to fight. Demigryph Knights are all but dead. We have 1 Knight of the Blazing Sun with still half of its models, but very low HP pools. We'll see how long that can hold on. Big problem is going to be if Elspeth can do a lot of damage to Azazel. Otherwise, this could turn into a late game terror out cycle charge Pavane fest from him killing a bunch of infantry. And he still does have his own infantry over there. I'm going to keep the Lord Duel in the background, but you can see we still have a full health Devoted Marauder, some Slongors that are probably going to rout, but they'll be back and in greater numbers like the Sand People of old. And the Empire infantry has taken some damage here and there, so it's not like Azazel is that big of a task. Really, a lot of the balance power is locked up in Elspeth. Acquiescence is down onto her. Azazel is suffering a bit from having a lower HP pool, and also he's just missed a shocking amount of attacks onto her for her having so low melee defense compared to his 53 melee attack. So that duel's not going as well for him as it should have been, but she has fallen below half HP, so is he, and she's trying to get away as the Acquiescence hits. 60 speed to his 85, he should be able to catch her all right. Handgunners and Knights of the Blazing Sun peeling off any of the infantry that try and shut down those rallied Empire ranged troops. Bounce power is significantly bad for Slaanesh as Azazel still tries to hunt down Elspeth. Did try to get a rear attack on her. It did work out, so now they're almost equal in actual... Yeah, they are equal in actual HP, which is a huge buff for Azazel because, you know, he started off with much lower. So he's still trying to rout her off. Also, if Azazel can take her off the battlefield, that'll make the state troops easier to rout, just, you know, because their lord is dead or routed away, etc., etc. So then he could terror out them through the late game. And yeah, he's starting to really kick her ass. That balance of power is being pretty disingenuous, in my opinion. It's almost army lossing Slaanesh, and I'm like, I don't know. Azazel's doing what he needs to. He's sniping out Elspeth, and there's not much she can do about it. Oof. A full health greatsword is a bit of a problem. I'll give you that one. Now this is really tricky. Elspeth's landing. She's going to try and rout the Devoted Marauders. Fate of Buna's the Slongors to get rid of any support for Azazel, and now Azazel has to land in front of the Knights of the Blazing Sun, or he had to give up on his chase of Elspeth, which he just can't do, because that's the only way he can win the game, is sniping her out. I do think that was pretty unlucky. Really good start from the Empire player. I think he played great, no complaints there. But for Nameless Order's sake, there was a long period in the mid game where Azazel was dueling Elspeth and just not getting hits in, even though his melee attack would imply that he should have been able to hit her more often. So that was pretty unfortunate. Fiends got decent value. Seekers struggled quite a bit more than the Fiends did. Devoted Marauders had a hard time. Slongors did all right. Chaos Furies did pretty well. On the other side, for the dim-witted one, Elspeth did nicely. Tattered Souls, Greatswords. Greatswords not as much value, but one was still full health at the end of the game, so he had plenty of love left to give. Knights of the Blazing Sun got a lot of value. The Demigryph with Halberds, honestly, the low performers of the Empire here, got taken out swiftly by Slaanesh's sniping. GG's to these two players, and I just thought that Empire build was cool.
Roar. Subscribe, yes, yes.